Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and I'm going to read way too much into A Christmas Carol. Not really any particular version of the movie or iteration we've seen, but just into the story as a whole by Charles Dickens. And this coming weekend, I'm going to be doing reviews on A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey, which I thought was a pretty unique version of the story, and definitely going to be reviewing Scrooged, which is one of my favorite Christmas traditions to watch that movie. It is one of my favorites. I'm looking forward to reviewing both those movies, but as a whole, the Christmas Carol story has always been one of my absolute favorite Christmas stories. And I think there's something enduring about it, something that just appeals to the just deepest parts of us, that even if it's not our favorite story, there's just still something about it that has kept it alive all these hundreds of years. So for me personally, I think what speaks to me about A Christmas Carol is that it is a story of redemption. But it's not just a story of any redemption. It's like really a zero to hero story. You have Scrooge, who is a true zero. The guy is an absolute hoarder and miser. Like, he represents the worst of the worst in this story. But the story is about his redemption. That for the worst of the worst, for the most selfish and prideful and darkest and shut in on itself souls among us, there is redemption. And I think that is what speaks to me so much about the story of Scrooge. And here is the amazing thing about the depths of the selfishness of Scrooge. He is such a miser. He has made money his god. It is his god. He worships it. He loves it. His life is in pursuit of it. He gave up a wife for money. He gave it all up for the pursuit of money. That was the true love of his life. But then look how he lives his life. There's a line in the books and in a lot of the different movies where they say, darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. In his office, he worked in the cold with Bob Cratchit because the coal is cheaper than going out and buying coals. He could afford coal for the fire like it's nothing. He's flippin' rich. He's flippin' rich. But that's how much he loves money. He loves it so much, he has to possess it and has none of the joy in having it. But that's the sick cycle of making something like that your god. He made it his god. He has to have it. He can't bear to part with it, so he can't even have the perks of having that money. He can't even enjoy the fact that he's rich. He's so cheap and so owned and so shut in on himself. And so, I mean, that's what we get introduced to first in Scrooge. And just that by itself is a very powerful character, that we are to follow a character that there's nothing about him that's likable and start to like him during the course of the story and root for his redemption. Not root for him to just die, but rooting for his redemption. So that is very smart how Charles Dickens wrote that and got us attached to the character that way. And then we get introduced to Bob Marley as his ghost comes to Scrooge, and there is so many powerful things in that first meeting and in the promise that Scrooge will be haunted by three spirits. But it is just amazing the things that Marley says. Like in the book, Marley talks about not only did he forge his chain in life, link by link, but he did it of his own free will. He freely chose that lifestyle. He freely chose to burden himself with those heavy burdens, with that crazy baggage, with all of those chains. But now his soul is doomed to wander the earth. You know, he should have in life been about the earth, or at the very least been about the town, doing good, taking part in charity, giving, doing what he can to take care of his fellow man. He even says his business was mankind. His business was charity. His business was those good things. And being a good businessman was nothing more than just a drop in the vast ocean. So that was his true business, and he never tended to his true business. Now that he's dead and he's a ghost and he's wearing those chains and those heavy burdens, his business is now to travel the earth and to see the joy that he missed out on and can never partake in, to see those who are in help and need, who he could have helped, and now he can do nothing. I think really does make you stop and think about things and take stock for a moment. And I think that's kind of the point of the story, to hit the moral hard of that's how you should be living better. What was really interesting, and I've only seen this line in the book, so I have to quote it directly from the book here. I've never seen it in any of the movies. But when Marley's talking about what his life should have been, this is interesting. He says, "At this time of the rolling year, I suffer most. Why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down, and never raise them to that blessed star, which led the wise men to a poor abode? Were there no poor homes to which its light would have conducted me? And so he lives in that utter regret that he never lifted his eyes up to be guided to those poor abodes where he could have been a true help and a true blessing. And Scrooge had worse burdens. He lived 7 years past Marley. He forced his chain even heavier. So as you go through this movie, it's just so interesting because he has the ghost of past, present, and future. And so he sees his past. He gets to see those kinds of things that hurt him, that shaped him, that molded him. He got to see a time when his priorities were more correct. He got to watch the transformation into when they were bad. The ghost of Christmas present, he gets to now see the fruit of his labors, the way he just has not been good to his workers, the way he's not been good in his life, and the sheer loneliness of that, even with his nephew and things like that. Then he sees his future, where he's gone, and how he has no legacy to speak of except for the horrible things he did. He just got to see what his life used to be, where his life is now, and where his life is heading. But thankfully, those were the shadows of what may be only. Because the moment he let those lessons into his heart, it changed him. It brought him joy. He found the joy in giving and not hanging on to that money. He found that he only truly has what he gives away. And so in giving away and buying the prize turkey for Cratchit, going to his nephew's Christmas party, experiencing the love of family and learning to be a giver and helping little tiny Tim medically and all those things and paying for the medical treatments and all that stuff, he found the true gift that it's better to give than to receive. And so that's the whole point of this story, that he has a change of heart. And what I found in my life, the thing that really brings that greatest change of heart is that relationship with Jesus. Just the way Marley said he wished he had lifted his eyes up to that blessed star that led the wise men to that poor abode. You know, I'm not perfect, but I do my best to lift my eyes up to that blessed star, to lift my eyes up to Jesus, because he's the one who guides me into those things for my life, that ultimately breaks those chains that fetter me, that takes those heavy burdens that are on my shoulders and brings me real joy and real love worth having. Rather than having money as my God and things as my God, having God as my God is the very thing that affects my heart and brings love and joy worth having into my life. If you read A Christmas Carol or you have seen any version of the movies and you love them, what do you read into those movies? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, hit that subscribe button and become a Durbanian. Be on top of the new videos coming out here on Durbania. Like this weekend, gonna be doing reviews for Scrooged with Bill Murray. Gonna be reviewing A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey because it's Christmas time. So we're gonna have some fun with Christmas stuff. And there's all kinds of cool things coming up here in December. And, you know, I just can't wait to share it with you and for you to check out these videos. So hit that subscribe button. Be on top of that when those things happen. I'm Durbin. Thank you for checking out Durbania.